Hi, I'm Sandy Gennaro, and welcome to the second video in the Ultimate Beginner Series. If you picked up on the first video, you already know how to hold the drumsticks, you know how to play a simple beat, and you know a little bit about the drum set itself. Now, on this second video, we're going to learn some different kinds of beats, some different feels, some drum fills, and how they apply to songs, some basic note values, and we'll also touch a little on simple song forms, amongst other things. Well, right about now, you may be asking yourself, why is it necessary for a drummer to read music? Well, first of all, it expands your options in terms of drum beats, drum fills. It also allows you to become more creative in terms of the rhythms that you play in different songs. It allows you to communicate with your bandmates, your fellow musicians, a lot easier on a musical level. I know personally it helped me a tremendous amount when I was on tour with different singers and different bands, and they needed to communicate something to me musically. I understood exactly what they meant. I also found, too, from a personal experience that I was playing for about 15 years without reading music, and my drumming just like hit the ceiling, so to speak. And then when I learned note values and learned how to read music, it opened up many different options in terms of what I was able to do. I was able to create different fills and beats and stuff like that. So there are a lot of benefits to reading music as opposed to just, in addition to just counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So on this tape we'll show you the note values associated with the counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, first of all, in music or in songs, we have what's called a measure or a bar. It's also called a bar. Now, measures or bars are nothing more than units of measurement, just like an inch or a yard is. And a song is made up of a series of measures. Now, when you listen to a song, you tap your foot naturally. Now, you don't have to be a musician to tap your foot to a song. You tap your foot or clap your hand, and what you're tapping your foot to is quarter notes. In other words, counted 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, in a bar, in 4/4 time, there are 4 quarter notes. Now, you also remember from tape 1, we played a beat that had 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Those are called eighth notes because there are 8 notes per bar, 2 notes per beat. So let's go ahead and tap our foot in quarter notes and count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to clap our hands in eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Another important thing to remember is that the quarter note is the pulse of the song, and that there's equal amount of space in between the quarter notes. In other words, when you get to 4, you don't pause before you get to 1. In other words, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there, we already played quarter notes and we played eighth notes. Okay, now let's work with some of those eighth notes as they apply to our bass drum. If you remember from tape 1, we played in our simple beat in tape 1, we played our bass drum on the 1 and 3 and. And it went something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Now, we're going to start to see the benefits of reading music because we're going to begin to explore the different variations of eighth note patterns that are available to us on the bass drum. So for starters, let's play all the eighth notes on our bass drum, counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 4 on our snare. Okay, so let's get the bass drum going and the hi-hat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and play along and count along as well. Counting is very important. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now let's add the 2 and 4 on the snare. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So right there, we played all of the eighth notes on the bass drum. Now, you could take one or groups of two or groups of three and apply those to the bass drum pattern. For example, you all familiar with the song "We Will Rock You" by Queen? It's played in every major stadium in the country. That, in essence, is 1 and 3 and on the bass drum. So let's get that going. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Another example would be to play the 1, and every time your mouth says and 3 and, play it on the bass drum. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, varying your bass drum pattern not only helps you come up with different beats in different musical situations, but it helps you differentiate different sections of the song. For example, the song that you heard us play at the beginning of this tape, when it came to the chorus part of the song, I varied the bass drum just to make that section of the song a little different than the section that went before it, which was the verse. So let's take a listen to that. Okay, now let's get our foot stomping in quarter notes as we count along. Sticks in hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now our right hand will play, just our right hand will play in eighth notes, counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now we keep that going. Now we take our left hand and we play in between what our right hand is already playing. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Playing along? Those are 16th notes. Now, 16th notes, they're called 16th notes because there are 16 per bar, or 16 per 4 beats, because as you remember, there are 4 beats to the bar. Now, if there are 16 per 4 beats, there are 4 per quarter note, okay? 4 16th notes per quarter note, and it's counted, very simply, it's counted 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. And it's as simple as that. Now, did you ever think you could play 16th notes? Now you can. Now, 16th notes is the note value of choice a lot of times for doing fills. So we're going to cut to the videotape, and we're going to show you how I fill using 16th notes. Now, 16th notes also work well as a warm-up exercise. Now, we just played a little while ago the alternating 16th notes, right, left, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. That is known as a single stroke roll. Now, there are many, many other different combinations of stickings that you could use in a 16th note denomination. For example, you can play 2 on each hand and still count the 16th note like we have been. Ready? 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and right, left, right, left, right, left, 3 E and 4 E and. Now that 2 strokes on each hand, the right, left, is also known as a double stroke roll. Now, you could use your imagination and come up with different combinations of stickings. For example, we could play 4 on each hand, 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and right, 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 left, 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 left. You can play 8 on each hand. You can play uh, 16 on each hand if you'd like. You're only limited by your own imagination. As we mentioned before, one of the primary functions of a drummer is to play consistent time. Now, when you're involved in a band and playing songs, another very, very important aspect of a drummer, a function of a drummer, is to support the song and the song form. Now, some of the parts of a song include the intro, the chorus, the verse, the bridge, or the solo. Those are just a couple of different parts of the song as a song form. Now, there are a couple of different ways that the drummer can support a song. One way is for the drummer to lead the band and the listener from one section to the next. Let's say, for example, from a verse into the chorus. Now, the primary thing that we can play on the drum set to lead the listener from one section to the next is a drum fill. That is the primary role of a drum fill within a song. Another way to support the song is to differentiate between sections. In other words, slightly vary what you play between sections. Now, there are some songs that I played with Cyndi Lauper, for example, that I played the same beat at the same volume throughout all the sections. That's a very, very rare occurrence. Most of the time, you're going to be required to vary certain aspects of your playing from one section to another. Now, those can include playing the same beat at a different volume, either lower or louder, playing the verse a little lower than the chorus and vice versa. Another way is to play the same beat, but maybe change the surface that you play on. If, for example, you might be riding on the hi-hat in the verse, and then when you go to the chorus, you switch to the ride. Now, the chorus is the most important part of the song. It's also called the hook. It's also the part of the song that you tend to remember most after you hear it once and you'll hum it. That's the part of the song you hum in the shower, etc. Now, there are a couple of different things, again, that we can do on the drum kit to differentiate the chorus from the verse. Some of them as simple as maybe open up, when you're playing a hi-hat in a verse, to open it up just a little bit so it sounds a little more open. Another thing could be where you vary your bass drum part. You're playing a simple part in a verse. Now you play a little bit more of a complicated part in the chorus. So now let's take a listen of a little bit of the track that we played early on, and you'll hear that I make quite a bit of a difference between a verse and a chorus, where I not only change surfaces, I go to the ride in the chorus, but I fill to set up the chorus, and I also alter my bass drum part. Up to this point, all the music that we've discussed is based on eighth notes. Now let's take a minute, listen to me, play with the band a completely different rhythm. Then we'll come back and I'll explain how to play that rhythm and what the rhythm is. Okay, as you recall, we learned about quarter notes, which is one note per beat. We learned about eighth notes, which are two notes per beat, one end. We learned about 16th notes, which are four notes per beat, one E and a. Now we're going to learn about a note value that has 3 notes per beat, and it's called a triplet. And it's counted 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Now, the important thing here to remember is to keep each of the notes equal to each other. There's no pause in between the notes, either after a beat or after a whole measure. So let's get our bass drum going in quarter notes. 1, play along. 2, 3, 4. Now count along. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Now triplets also work well as a hand exercise, and one possibility might be is to play 3 notes on each hand per quarter note or per beat. In other words, it might be 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, right, 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 left, 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 right, 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 left, left, left. Great hand exercise. You can also expand on that and play 6 per hand, 12 per hand, or whatever. Again, use your imagination. Now, triplets also work very well as applied to beats on the drum set and fills on the drum set. So now that we know what triplets are, we've counted them, we played them on the pad, let's see how they apply to the drum set. First of all, let's see what playing triplets on the ride does to the beat, okay? Now, we're just going to play 1 and 3 on our bass drum, 2 and 4 on our snare, and instead of playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and let's play the triplets that we just played on the pad. Let's play it with our right hand, counting the same way as we did on the pad, our right hand on the ride pattern, on the ride cymbal rather. Okay? And then we'll gradually bring in our bass drum on 1 and 3 and our snare on 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet. Now play along with me and count the triplet. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Now the bass drum on 1 and 3. 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Now the snare drum on 2 and 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. There you go. You just played a blues beat. Okay, a very, very popular blues beat. Okay, now in addition to playing triplets as a ride pattern, we can also play them as a fill. By the way, that triplet ride pattern is what I played in the blues tune that you heard just a little while ago with the band. Now, you can also play it as a fill. Now, one way we can play it as a fill is if you play alternate hands like we just played on the pad, counting 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet on the snare drum or around the drums or whatever. And this is just like the fill I played at the very beginning of the blues tune. Okay? So we'll just play 1 bar of triplets on our ride and then play 1 bar of a triplet fill on our snare, still counting all the triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. There you go. Triplet is a very popular fill to play with a triplet ride pattern. Makes sense, doesn't it? So now, in addition to playing alternate sticking left, right, right, left, right, left on our snare as a fill, we can also play our hands at the same time playing the triplet on the floor tom or in the snare drum, for example. So it would be 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. Okay, so now let's play the blues beat for 1 bar and play the triplet as a fill. Left and right hand play at the same time. Now remember again, I'm going to tell you again that pause the VCR if you need more time with any of this and to count along as well. Okay? 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 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 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Now there is a very simple triplet fill on the snare and the floor tom. Now if you rewind the tape and listen to the blues tune that I played with the band, in between the first half and the second half of the blues tune, I played that exact fill to separate the two sections of the blues tune. And again, playing things at a different tempo makes beats and fills take on a whole new meaning. So in addition to using triplets as a ride pattern and as a fill, just like we do with the eighth notes, we can also vary the triplet pattern that we play on our bass drum. So again, just like we did with the eighth notes, let's play all the triplets with our bass drum, 2 and 4 on the snare, and triplets on our ride pattern. Now, if I go too fast for you or you need more time to get acclimated with a certain beat, you can always pause your VCR and play things at your own pace. So let's count along. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So there, now we played all the triplets with our bass drum. So now let's vary the triplet pattern with our bass drum, more like the triplet pattern I played in the second part of the blues tune, which you heard when I played with the band. And it goes 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Now that's only one example of a pattern that you could play, a triplet pattern you could play with your bass drum. I encourage you in your own time to experiment with your own triplet patterns on your bass drum, as long as it's underneath one of the triplets that you play with your hands. Another point I'd like to bring out is that when you change tempo of a certain beat, whether you play it faster or slower, it changes the whole characteristic of the song. Now, just for example, I'm just going to play a little bit of that same triplet blues beat, but at a faster tempo. You may or may not want to follow along with this. If you feel adventurous, you might want to do that, okay? 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. So you see how just speeding it up changes the whole characteristic of the beat. Now, you might want to go back, rewind the tape, go back, listen to the blues tune that I played with the band, and notice how in the first half of that tune I played a very simple bass drum pattern with the triplet ride. Then the second half of the tune I built up with a triplet fill by both hands. The second half of the tune, just to make it different than the first half, I played a more complicated bass drum pattern, much like I just played for you right now. Okay, before we wrap this up, I'd like to just go over a few points with you. Very important points. One is to practice, obviously. Practice what you learned on this tape, using this tape, rewinding this tape, pausing this tape, playing along with this tape. And it's better to practice even a half an hour a day, 45 minutes a day, than to practice, let's say, 3 hours on Monday, and then you don't pick up the sticks again until Friday. So try to practice as consistent as possible. And another important aspect is you don't need a drum set to practice. You could practice in the air. I spent many an hour at 3 o'clock in the morning when I had to prepare for an audition or prepare for a session, let's say, where I put the headphones on of the song I wanted to learn or I needed to learn, and I just played in the air. You know, you don't need pedals under your foot to play a bass drum or a hi-hat. You don't need drums to hit to play the part that you need. Very quiet. Little Johnny could still be sleeping in the next room. Mama or your sister or your girlfriend or your boyfriend could be sleeping in the next room. No one will know the difference. Now, if it's even better, obviously, if you have a drum set, and if you practice on a drum set, a really good tip to do, a lot of professionals do, is to record what you practice. Record on your little recording cassette player or whatever recording device you might have. Record yourself practicing. Listen back to it, because while you're playing, you may feel like you're making mistakes or you sound not that good, but when you hear it back, you sound great, or vice versa. You may think you sound great when you're playing, but when you listen back, you find you speed it up here, you slow down there, or whatever. Now, again, when you practice, have patience with yourself. When you learn a new rhythm or practice a new rhythm, add one ingredient to the soup at a time, as my grandmother always used to say. In other words, when you practice a new rhythm, be comfortable with one limb's part before you add another limb's part. And please, have patience with yourself. Don't get frustrated. Every famous drummer that you have ever heard of at one point in their career got had a couple of obstacles along their way in their development. So you're not alone. If you're stuck on a certain thing, everybody goes through it. And before you know it, once you get it, you'll never forget it. And again, also, look in your phone book or look in your newspaper for competent teachers if that's the route you want to go to, if you want to develop your drumming. He or she will probably specialize in a certain style. So make some phone calls and to some teachers and find out what kind of procedure they use to teach or what kind of styles they specialize in. Okay, so one last piece of music I'm going to play for you coming up shortly is going to encompass a lot of the ideas that we went over in these tapes. So have a great time, have fun, keep smiling, and we'll see you on stage.
DCI Music Video, the leader in music instruction and the first company to release instructional music video, brings you the best.
And then the syncopation is with the left hand. It really gives it a crazy syncopated feeling. So listen to it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
DCI Music Video, the first in instructional music video.